Radio Bypass, bringing you rock and roll music that deserves to be heard. Discover new bands. Here's some old favorites on Radio Bypass.
Hey, rockers. We are back today with another great guest. Our guest today is lead vocalist that I first discovered, a band that I first discovered back in 2019. They've captivated me ever since. Please welcome lead vocalist Landon Milbourn from Goodbye June. Hey, Landon.
Hey, thanks for having me, Ralph. I appreciate it, man.
Hey, man, my pleasure. I am so happy to have you here and be able to share your guys' story with our audience, many of whom probably are familiar with Goodbye June, but in case they're not, I really wanted to make sure everybody knows who Goodbye June is, because when I found you in 2019, I can't even remember if I saw some little blurb on the internet. I can't remember how your name even came into my knowledge, but whatever it was, I checked it out and I said, holy shit, this is great. And so I've been paying attention ever since, and I look for new music for you guys and everything you've done. And I know you had records before my discovery of Community in 2019 as well, which I still have to go back and check that stuff out. But from Community In to the next record to the brand new, just released recently record, Deep in the Trouble. I've just seen a great progression. You guys just really musically have meant a lot to me. And I thought it was really great that you come on and share your story, because I think you have an interesting story how you guys even came together, and you're a family band that is not brothers or sisters like many bands have.
Right.
You're actually a band of cousins.
Yeah, we are. Me and Brandon, the oldest of all three of us, which, we typically don't talk about age. We don't, especially him. He doesn't want his age getting out.
You're all young.
Yeah, we're all really young. Just know that. Anyways, the oldest of us three cousins, me and Brandon, we had a band when I was like 15, 16, and Tyler was living in Indiana. We were in West Tennessee at the time, and we always wanted to form a band with Tyler, but it, just didn't line up. And honestly, it was tragedy that really kind of made it happen, and circumstance. Tyler was about to graduate college. He was getting close to graduating college, and his brother passed away in June of '05. And that's really what brought us together and created the name Goodbye June.
Because he had passed in June, right?
Yeah, he passed in June of '05, and that we just wanted to. Brandon actually came up with it and said the name Goodbye June, and we were like, "Cool, we love it." It's like it's a memorial for Shane, his brother, and our cousin, and he was kind of like the leader, like the alpha guy of the group, Mm-hmm. And so we wanted to memorialize him in a way. And so that's kind of where it happened. And we finally all started playing music together. We always wanted to. And that, honestly, tragedy brought us three together, really. It made it happen. Otherwise, I don't think it would have ever happened. Tyler would have gone on to engineering school at IU. And I think I would have probably been a youth pastor or something. Who knows? Mm-hmm. Completely opposite.
Right. Well, that's I'm glad you guys ended up on this path, although I'm sorry for the reasons that it brought you together, but that's great. So that happens. You guys come together, and you've been together ever since. And I guess one of my questions is, it's the three of you, but you do perform live, and I know, I believe it's Brandon. Is it Brandon that is listed as your bass player, I think, and your drummer, and a few. I'm assuming you have somebody else for a live setting or something.
Well, so me, Tyler, and Brandon are the band, and but then live we have a live drummer and bass player. But as far as recording goes, it could be a hodgepodge. I mean, the last record, me and Brandon played bass. you know, it's all different scenarios pretty much with every record, really. But basically, us three are the band, but live we hire in drummer, bass player to play live.
Yeah.
So, you know,
That-
we're typically 5 to 6 pieces live.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Not just 3. Yeah, we're not a 3-piece band per se.
That's what I thought you were, you know.
Yeah.
When I was reading the credits, I'm like, well, this doesn't jive then. This can't be the way it is.
Well, it's just like how it's always been, honestly. It's just, you know, we hired in studio musicians and then we take them out on the road. And those studio musicians happen to be our best friends. So it works out really well.
All right. So you guys come together in 2005, born out of this terrible tragedy, start making music together. And
as kids, yes.
As
Dumb
kids. Baby.
Dumb kid.
And then somehow, in about 7 years' time, I guess it was, I missed this record, but your first record was in like 2012. Is that correct?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it was put out in 2012, which there's no proof of that too much.
Yes, I know this.
Nor the Wild Music Flow was put out, and then you know that was our first actual real record, and we put that out. It was on streaming, you know, whatever at the time, and available for like download. I think it was like 2012, and yeah, I mean, and then eventually, you know, we made partnerships with a bigger label, and they, you know, that kind of disappeared. So.
Gotcha.
That's the game you play, you know. But we signed with Interscope Records, and we put out the record Magic Valley.
Yeah, and then that one you had a. Is that the one that you had a song in that ended up in a video game? Maybe was that?
We had 2 video games actually.
2 from that.
We had TV shows, video games, all the fun stuff. We had a lot of good syncs. Their sync department worked really well for us, and luckily we had the music that people were looking for in those certain moments, so it worked out good. And so yeah, we got a lot of good syncs and a lot of good fun stuff. You know, that I'm a video game player myself, so I have both of those copies of those video games. Still, Need for Speed 2. Hot Pursuit, and Madden NFL 2017, I believe. And yeah, that was a big achievement for me.
Nice.
Like that was almost as big as a Grammy because I'm such a video game nerd. Like I'm like, this is pretty cool. You know, I mean, honestly, when I was a kid, I listened to like when I played Tony Hawk, like Pro Skater. I grew up in a very strict like church like setting growing up. I grew up Pentecostal, and you weren't supposed to have long hair or, you know, facial hair as a guy.
Right.
And I always wanted long hair. I always wanted to be like, you know, I always wanted that. And I remember playing Tony Hawk, and I discovered for the first time Ace of Spades. Like that song came on, and I was like, this is awesome. Like, this is awesome. So I learned a lot of music through video games. So I'm a big video game guy.
Gotcha. Well, then it's an extra honor that your music got selected.
Absolutely. You know, I learned Motorhead through a video game. So, you know, it's an honor to figure that out, you know, and be on one.
Now, each of those games, were they different songs or?
They were different songs, yeah. They were.
Were they all on the Magic Valley record?
They were, yeah. It was Oh No and Liberty Mother. Liberty Mother was on Hot Pursuit, Need for Speed, Hot Pursuit, and then I think Oh No was on Madden 2017. Yeah.
Got it. And that song also had some movement as a single too, right? You had some success with it outside of the video run.
It did. I think that's the highest we did as far as like charting and things like that. I think it got up to like 21, 20 on the active rock, and we had a lot of movement with that. And yeah, but you know, don't get me started on rock radio.
Yeah, well, we'll get there in just a bit. But before we do that, so that's 2017. Pretty good success for you guys. The follow-up is 2019, where I came into the picture, Community Inn. Freaking love the song rolling off my tongue, by the way.
Thank you.
But now that album, did that do more than the prior, or did it do less than the prior?
You know,
I didn't know if that had any, I couldn't find much information. Like, did that have any charting? Did that have any video game?
I don't think there was as much like sync stuff with that album or even the next, but both of those albums are the last two albums prior to this brand new one we released. They both did significantly better in
Uh-oh, you just cut out, buddy.
the UK and Europe,
Oh,
and compared to Magic Valley, as far as like, syncs and stuff, commercials. We had a Budweiser commercial with Magic Valley, but like the other two albums, they did really well in Europe, like very well with radio, and every time we went over there, I mean, it was a better response in Europe for sure. So it's two different demographics really.
Mhm.
And that's all pre-COVID. Oh, well, no, not all pre-COVID, but
Right.
it's kind of.
Well, yeah, because the next album, See Where the Night Goes, obviously was sort of post-COVID, even though I don't know if we're ever really out of COVID completely. But
Yeah.
And that record too, I loved Step Aside and was it Breathe and Attack? Breath and Attack? Breathe and Attack. Yeah, those were like probably my top two faves off of that record too. And that seems to fit well because this podcast, we have a lot of folks in Europe that listen to this, and they seem to embrace this kind of music from new artists even more so than our own country here does. It seems like they seem a little more excited about it, perhaps, or a little more rabid about it, which I love.
I think they're just excited about music in general more than we are, honestly.
Yeah. So that's a good segue to what is wrong today. Why will radio not support new artists and new music from legacy artists? I know you have thoughts on that.
Well, let's start with a positive note. There is a great radio station in Columbus, Ohio, that has always supported us, QFM, and they are technically a classic rock station, but what they started doing is playing new artists that fit their format, which, nice. By the way, all those artists don't fit the active rock format, right? Mm-hmm. We don't get played on the syndicated rock stations and blah, blah, blah. So they started kind of like, hey, let's change it up a little bit, So, for example, I mean, like the concerts we do there, it matters. It's like people show up, and like the radio matters. It still matters. Like any sort of media matters, right? Mm-hmm. This matters. Like radio matters, and like there's no like big time radio supporting new rock artists. I feel like, unless they're label backed and they're just getting money shoved down their throats.
Right.
I have like I'm friends like here in Nashville alone. I'll give you this as an example, and I'll tell this to everybody I interview with. Like, we live in Music City, right?
Right.
Well, I rarely hear any new bands on our rock station ever, and I listen to it quite a bit, mm-hmm. just to see if they change up their game plan. It's basically a classic rock station.
Right.
Because if you're playing stuff that's 20 plus years old, sorry, that's classic rock. At this point, it is.
Sure.
Nobody wants to admit the stuff that they grew up listening to is now classic rock, but let's be honest, it is. You know? So if that's all they play and they're not giving new bands a chance, well, then you're kind of a shitty rock station, in my opinion. But that being said, the times they do play newer artists, they're actually some of my friends, and I'm friends with a lot of rock people. We have a lot of rock artists here in Nashville, and we're all friends. Like, we all know each other, and they rarely play those people. And it's like, it's crazy because some of my friends are selling out arenas. You know, it's like, it's nuts. It's crazy.
It is nuts. But it's interesting to me, though, that a band like yours, even without that support, or a lot of it, I mean, you've had some, obviously, like you said, in Cincinnati, or not Cincinnati, Columbus.
Yeah.
But you've been able to, you know, sustain yourselves and keep going and keep growing. So radio maybe isn't quite as important as it used to be. It would be nice if it was.
But it still is important. It's very important.
Yeah.
It's not as important, obviously, because you have apps, you know, and you have kids with phones, but it still is important.
Right.
It still drives people to shows. I will say that.
Gotcha.
So,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, whoever in Ohio is on the ball with playing new music. I hope that
dude, they're great, man.
Program listen.
They are the best. I hope they see this. I should tweet this to them once you post it, honestly.
Yeah, you should, because
I love them.
As an old ex-radio guy myself, I would greatly appreciate them for doing that, because there's just not enough of it. And I don't know why, because the thought process seems to be that nobody cares about new music, but I just find that absolutely impossible to believe, especially since the classic rock audience is, you know, obviously going to be more older folks like me, not as much young guys like you.
But I mean,
I can't be the
surprised how many young kids love it.
Yeah, well,
there's so many young kids that want it. Like it's all around this town, honestly, in Nashville. I mean, they want rock and roll. Like they want it. It's there. It's there. It's just not being put in front of their face like everything else, you know. You know, it's not the major brand cereal. It's the off brand.
Right. Gotcha. Which is just as good. No, I'm just kidding.
It's made in the same factory, but it's just better. No, I'm joking. Actually, that's a horrible representation. Honestly, let's not use that.
All right. Well, let's move on. So let's talk about the brand new, just released at the end of June. I don't know if you can see the words there too good, but Deep into Trouble. First of all, your logo too. I noticed how you've got, you know, this as part of the logo, which I've always thought was kind of neat. Who came up with that idea?
The smiley face.
Yes.
So, long story short, I've always signed my signature on anything with the smiley face. Always. Never thought, you know, I just always did it. Always. And Tyler, my cousin, the lead guitarist of the band, came up with that logo. He's like, Landon, you always do this. He's like, for some reason, it just makes sense. He's like, I don't know why, it just does. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And he came up with that before we even had the pictures and the album artwork or anything. We had the smiley face. That was it. And he's like, this is cool. He's like, you've always done it. Let's just use it. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I think it's good.
So we went with it, man.
I like the design of the letters of your, you know, of the band's name too.
Yeah, you know. So it really wasn't nothing special other than I've always done it and somebody else capitalized on it.
Gotcha. All right. Well, the new record, this time around, you guys are independent contractors here. You're doing this on your own, this album. And I believe, if I remember, I think The Hard Way was the first single you had released in advance of the album, which is Smoking Track. And then maybe Riding Through was second, maybe.
Second, yeah, you're right. Yep.
Which was also a great track. And then a song that I told you a little bit how this made me feel, but a track called Pile of Bones off the record. Once again, sadly for your family, um, tragedy struck. However, the song wasn't necessarily about that, but you put together a video that ties that in beautifully, even if that wasn't the original intention of the song. So I guess Pile of Bones for me is one of those rare songs from a songwriting perspective. Because when I listen to music, of course, I love all kinds of stuff. I love screaming guitars. I love some speed metal. I love all kinds of things. But I also love lyrics, which you have a lot of great lyrics in other songs too. But and then I love the way just moods and changes happen in certain songs. And anyway, so there's a lot of stuff I like, but then there's certain songs that just as an entire package, lyrically, musically, how the song is structured, the arrangement, all of this stuff comes together into and the emotion that's coming out of the players, both vocally and with fingers, where it just all comes together in a super special place. And I have a few songs like that. I think I told you before we started, "The Heart of the Matter" from Don Henley is a song I put in that, above category. And Pile of Bones hits me the same way. And your video I thought was so poignant. And I find it interesting that it wasn't directly written about what occurred to bring that video together that I want you to share with people. But please, I'd love to know all about Pile of Bones. What started that song? What was the song originally? And how did it come to be where it is in the video?
Yeah, it's a long story. We were actually, oddly enough, we were writing with a really great artist at the time. We were working with him, doing just like we were just kind of like doing like a trying to figure out the next album, basically. And his name's Brendan Benson. He's in the Racketeers, which, by the way, great band. Obviously, Jack White, Brendan Benson, great band. Right. And like we were taking turns, like going in and out of writing with him, and we were just writing this other song to start it with, outside of his place. And Tyler came up with this lyric, "Lonely on this pile of bones, built it for myself." And then we started writing the verses, and just kind of, we wrote it, we were writing it. I was writing from my own perspective. Tyler was writing it from his, of course. That's how we work as a band. I mean, that's how you contribute. It doesn't really matter. That's why sometimes people are like, "What does this song mean?" It's like, I don't know. There's 3 different people writing it, So it can be a little weird and convoluted.
It's whatever it means to you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's always like interpretive, But this song for me, it was very like loneliness, and I think the overall message originally was just loneliness and regret. I think that's what we wrote the song about, and that was it. That was totally it. And we put the song together, and I remember in the studio, like it was one of those songs like you rarely experience like emotion, like true emotion. Like you always experience, let me correct that. You always experience emotion when you're recording an album, but there's a few rare moments where you really get like emotional in the sense of tears, almost, or not almost, tears do come. And and it was just one of those songs, like every time we added something else, like I added the piano track, and then we added the cello, and we just were all just like teary-eyed little babies, just like, this song's beautiful, Right. And it's not like we're not praising ourselves. It's just, it impacted us, And we even had a cop that lives in Berry Hill here in Nashville. It's a studio area here in Nashville. There's a lot of studios here, like Blackbird and Smokestack, where we recorded, a bunch of other like great Class A studios. And this cop, he became friends with us, and he stopped in and he listened to it. He was crying. He was literally crying listening to the song. I'll never forget it. And and you know, we got the record done, and we were, you know, it was just a song about regret, loneliness, whatever. And then of course, in late January, we lost Uncle David, which is Tyler's dad. Which, by the way, Goodbye June was, you know, formed because of Tyler's brother's passing in '05. So then Uncle Dave passed, and it just kind of, you know, at that moment, obviously time stood still, and we were just there for the family and blah blah blah. But
That happened this year, right?
right, yeah, that was this year. That
Yeah.
was early this year before we put the album out. And I remember me and Brandon talked briefly, and this was just in us talking, like, wouldn't it be crazy if we filmed Pile of Bones at the house site? And then that was pretty much it. And then like a month later, Tyler came to us, and it was ultimately, he's, you know, it's his dad. It's his, he came to us. We never said one thing about it because it's weird. It's a weird concept. He came to us and said, guys, I know this is weird. And he said, but what if we filmed Pile of Bones at the house? And me and Brandon looked at each other, and we're like, it's meant to be. Like, we literally looked at him. We told him, we said, bro, we talked about this like 3 weeks ago or whatever it was.
Right.
And as weird as it is, and as hard as it was a very tough process shooting that music video there, because the song did take on a new meaning. You know, it did take on a new form, really.
I don't know how you guys could have gotten through shooting it, because I was thinking of that.
Well,
watched the video. That, I mean, talk about emotional, Jesus.
it was crazy because, like, before that, we were there cleaning up, helping clean up, searching for stuff. You know, like we were there the day after it happened. Obviously, we were right there, and we were searching the grounds and looking for stuff and looking for
I
stuff.
don't think,
You know,
I don't think we mentioned, for those that might not know, this poor man's house blew up. Faulty propane tank, I guess.
yes, yeah,
It's propane heated home.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. And he was basically just cooking dinner. He was by himself. A month prior, it would have been Christmas time, and we would have lost about 20 family members. So this could have been way worse, obviously.
Right.
And we would have lost Tyler and Brandon. I would have been the only member left of the band, honestly. So, like, me looking back on that, it's a crazy story. But anyways, long story short, I mean, it just kind of, it worked out in a weird, dark way. It worked out that we were able to film there, and it just worked out. And we got the blessing from Aunt Reva, which is Tyler's mom, and she was cool with it. And we did it. And, you know, it's just a very raw, like, piece of art, you know.
It is indeed. And I got to say to you, you know, thank you for doing that, because I think that
it was tough.
that watches that, it'll resonate with you if you've lost any loved one at any point in your life, regardless of the circumstances of how you lost them. The song, even though it may not have started out that way, it amazes me because, you know, it starts out just so quietly, right? And then you guys do your thing, and then it builds a little, and then, you know, you got kind of that screaming guitar toward the end for a short passage. And the way it hits me emotionally, I mean, it feels like the stages of grief, the disbelief that it happened, then perhaps some anger, perhaps this, perhaps that, you know, all the different feelings. Everybody grieves a little differently, but all the different things that you tend to go through when you, with the loss of a loved one. And then anger for me, has been kind of usually my lasting feeling, like I'm still mad. And so that guitar at the end perfectly brings that I'm pissed off vibe at the very end. So it's like, it's respectful, it's somber, and then that little explosion, it just beautifully captures the emotions we go through with something like that. And
it's a beautiful way to view it.
I just thought it was just incredibly well done. And video aside, I mean, that of course gives it a whole new meaning. But even if you just do old fashioned, pop on your headphones, maybe close your eyes and just really take in a song and soak it in. Again,
which doesn't happen too much anymore.
Doesn't happen. But again, even just as a song, without knowing perhaps anything about it, again, you feel the guys that are playing the instruments, you feel soul, your voice, you feel emotion, like you are not just singing, you're emoting, and there's a difference. And it just makes it it's just a powerful piece of music all the way through, musically, vocally. It just so well done, just so well done.
Thank you, man. That means a lot.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. And I guess that's, enough of the sadder things about this record. A lot of this rocks. You also have some softer stuff as well. And there's a couple of tracks where you're singing a little bit differently than the others. You got a little bit of a different tone going on in your voice.
Yeah.
So, when I first heard you with the first song, kind of Bon Scottish, but also kind of just you too, like, not just, I didn't hear just one sound, but definitely kind of that vibe a little bit.
Right.
And then there's some softer stuff as well, and you're singing kind of in a different style. So I feel like you've got, a lot of your classic rock influences that you may have grown up loving, and then enough of your own personality in there too, blending it all together, which is pretty cool. So I like the way that you sing. But I have wondered though, vocally, if you had to pick one guy as your main influence, who would you say, singer wise in rock, would be your number one? Tough question, isn't it?
It's ridiculous. Because I don't have a vocalist. The obvious singers in rock are obvious. It's more the rest of my upbringing that forms what I think is me. So it's hard to pinpoint that down.
So church music.
It's all of it, man. It's country, it's church, it's rock and roll, it's blues. I mean, dude, I don't know, man. I grew up like loving it. I love the oldies. I love, if I had like, oh man, I've said this before in an interview, but like, it's not a rock influence at all, but it's definitely low tone and control. It is Harry Connick Jr., man. That dude's got a low voice out of this world that doesn't get respected enough. But also,
and it is smooth. It is smooth.
It's smooth. But I mean, honestly, like rock, you said rock. And I would say probably. Oh man, it's so tough.
All right, I'm putting you on the spot. I get it. Well, I'm going to say.
Well, I will say this: John Fogerty, Leon Russell, Robert Plant. Those three are my gods. So there you go.
All right, there you go. So you pulled it out. I pulled
you the holy trinity of Landon. Leon Russell, John Fogerty, Robert Plant. There you go. But then they all have their trinities, so you got a bunch of people behind them.
Of course. And then going back to songwriting, the song Hard Living, you've got a line in there, cursed out Jesus at the funeral home.
Yeah.
And that resonated with me too, because I've been there. And I was curious, is that a real experience for you?
So us three members write everything. And that song was actually Brandon's. My cousin Brandon, he wrote that song predominantly. We all, like, when somebody brings an idea, we all chip in and help with lyrics or music or whatever. But he specifically wrote those lyrics. And so that is his story. And I will say that is true. Yes.
Gotcha. I love.
And besides his story, I've done it too as well. So yes, I think he's speaking to more people than what he realized. I just don't think people admit it. You know, I don't think people like to admit that they cursed out Jesus or whatever. You know.
Yep, I hear you. Well, Brandon, if you watch this, Brandon, great job on the lyrics because I like all the lyrics, but that line in particular stuck out to me. So
I'll make him watch it.
All right, so that's another song that I love from the record, "The Hard Way." First thing I heard from it, freaking awesome. But I believe now, as we speak today, this isn't out yet. It will be out by the time I edit this all together and put this out in a few days. You're having a new video releasing tomorrow for which song from the new record?
The Heart's Still in It, which is a song that Tyler wrote. He came to me and Brandon as we were recording the record, and we had pretty much the whole record finished, and that was the last song to be added, I believe. Sorry.
Take a sip of water if you have any there.
Right? No, I don't. I should. But anyways, yeah, it was basically we were in the studio and Tyler showed us that song and we were like, yes, this is great. And then we kind of tweaked it. He didn't have the very ending, and I kind of nudged him on that. I was like, hey, go here at the very end. But other than that, I mean, that was Tyler. Like, again, when we bring songs, we basically, the other two just kind of bully the other one that brought it until they make it perfect. You know, that's basically what it is. We bully each other.
You're cousins, but you're like brothers.
Oh yeah, you know, you can't really fight it when you got two people barking at you. You know,
right?
So we all put up with each other. So.
Well, I'm glad you do. I think you guys are just, like I said, just a great band. Sorry that it was born out of tragedy, but you certainly took major lemons and made major lemonade because you got a great band here.
Thank you.
And I hope you guys keep at it for a long time to come and keep making new records. Even though I know it's a singles world, a lot of guys say nowadays, I'm still glad for a full record because, again, you've got a lot of different textures here. There's a lot of things going on in this record. And if you're just a heavy metal, hard rock guy, like I mostly am, but I appreciate some other things as well, it's here. If you don't like stuff that's super heavy and you like it a little lighter, it's here. You know,
we try to appease everybody, man.
Yeah, you really do, man. You got a great
we like to give you the headbanging stuff, and we like to make you cry.
You succeed. Tears of joy, though, at the
and some joy. There's a little Roy Orbison, you know, whatever in there.
Yeah, no, you guys are an interesting band. You definitely have your own sound, which is really cool. I mean, that's something too. Sometimes newer bands haven't developed their own personalities enough yet in their music when they're young. It takes a while. So they only maybe sound like their influences, where you guys have the whole thing. You've got your influences that are there and you can hear them, but it's also, you can tell, oh, that's Goodbye June. Once you're familiar with the music, like I have been. And all of you guys watching this, if you're not familiar with these guys, you need to be. Which I guess before we wrap up is a question too. If somebody's just discovering Goodbye June for the first time, how would you describe your band, your music?
We're horrible.
Well, besides the fact that you suck, how else would you describe it?
You know what? We're not your radio band. We're your classic rock mixed with a little modern flair, and we're us. We're Southern. But we're also, you know, universal. I think we're just trying to write how we feel in that moment, and not really we've never pigeonholed ourselves into a movement just because it made us money. I'll tell you that, because trust me, we've had the opportunity to do that. And we've never been that band. We've just always done what we felt was right for us. And we never really cared about anything other than putting out what we wanted to. So that's what we are. That's the type of band we are. We're a true music do-it-yourself band.
Yeah. And I would say authentic rock and roll for sure.
Thank you. I wouldn't say that, but if you say it, I'll accept it.
I'm feeling it, man. I'm feeling it. And you got rhyming names in the band. I mean, come on, how many bands can have a Landon and a Brandon? You know,
right? Well, I'll take it.
All right. Well, if you want to learn more about these guys, they do have a website. I think it was just goodbyejune.com is a website. Yep. They're on social media. You need to follow these guys, support them, buy physical. Still is great. If you want to get downloads, go ahead, but physical's cool.
Physical's great. We got CDs, vinyls, all
cool shirts. Yep,
that's right.
But it takes a village to support a rock band. So support these guys because they're writing real music from the heart and soul. You can hear it; it's evident, and it's really, really special what you guys have created, and especially on the new record. You just keep getting better each release. So Goodbye June, check them out. And now I guess we'll wrap things up and let the music do the talking. So since the new video that'll have just come out when this interview comes out, we'll start out with Heart Still in It. That's with a question mark. Heart Still in It.
That's right.
So we'll feature that song. We've got to play Pile of Bones just because it's one of my masterpiece songs, in my opinion, that's been written. And then I need you to pick a track, and it can be any. It can be from the new record. It can be from the ones that I have, Magic Valley, Community Inn, See Where the Night Goes, anything you want. Tell me a song to add to this interview.
Talking about me?
Talking about you. I want you to pick.
Talking about me. Well, my God, I think probably
pick any song as long as I have it. So it can't be from Nor the Wild Music Flow because I don't have it.
No, it can't. I tell you what. I think what everybody needs to hear right now is something just like open-minded. So I would say Free Child off of Community Inn.
Right.
I think that might be the one.
Hold on. Free Child.
Yep, off Community Inn.
Perfect. And that's a perfect round circle because that's where I first became aware of you, was that record. So
that's why I also chose a song off that album. That was
good choice. Good choice. All right, everybody. We've been talking to Landon Milbourn from Goodbye June. Awesome band. Please get their new album. Trust me, you will love it. You got some dates coming up in August across the Midwest. Hopefully more will get added and we'll get you out west as well. And just please check out Goodbye June. And right now, check out, okay, what did I say we're going to start with? We're going to start with the new video that they will have just released when this comes out. So this is Heart Still in It from Goodbye June. And then don't go anywhere because you're going to hear 2 more killer tracks from a killer band. Thanks again, Landon.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you, Ralph.
They threw you out in the cold. Your favorite friends left long ago. You were just a little too rock and roll. Ooh, is your heart still in it? Tell you to give up every time they can. You're mad with an arrow when you tell them all your plans. They never really ever gave one damn about you. Is your heart still in it? fall upon their swords. Every time you take the stage, you leave them wanting more. That's how I know that your heart's still in it. All the pain, change and fear, happiness between the tears. It's a long winding road, you're gonna walk it on your own. When the night it falls down low, all the doors around you close. They count you down and out, and they'll find out that your heart's still in it. Ooh, that your heart's still in it. Ooh, that your heart's still in it. Your heart's still in it. Is your heart still in it? Deep in the desert, a passage of time. Deep in the trouble that I'm sure I will find. A deeper connection for a deeper mistake. Hold on to me, baby. This could be love or I could break. Ooh, I could break it. It's lonely on this pile of bones. I built it for myself. the spiral road. Take me far from home, moving out of town where I won't be around, flying for a reason. Where does all the time go? Have you seen